Okay. All right. We're live streaming. Good. Bezrat Hashem, Nasem V'Netzliach. Thank you everyone for joining on short notice. I mean, this is usually my spot. Wednesday mornings, 11 o'clock. Today was supposed to be the official starting of the new term in Achlaot, in Judy's holy house, but we're Zooming. Bezrat Hashem, next week we'll be able to go hybrid again, in person and Zoom. And whatever it is, Yeshuot v'nechamot to all of Am Yisrael.
Amen.
So without further ado, so Parshas Noach. I call this time slot of learning Parsha, Tikkun, healing, and Parsha. And I usually draw on Pnimius Torah, a lot of Chassidus, a lot of Rav Ashlag, a lot of Likutei Halachos. And today, when I was researching, like, what am I going to share from this? Let me see what's gonna be for our time. There's so much, of course, the Mabul, hello, Hamas, but I already gave that shiur for Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan. If you didn't get the recording, message me and I'll send it to you. But today I opened up Rav Ashlag, the Baal Sulam, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, and he gave some like really amazing insight in terms of something that we can take for our own avoda and understanding what it is, the avoda of a Jew. What defines an Avraham, a ben Abraham, as opposed to a ben Noach? What is the avoda of Tzaddik b'emunato yichyeh? And how could we borrow from these teachings to help fortify our emuna and bitachon in these times? Now, we're all like kind of like holding two things at the same time. I'm sure you're like me, right? On the one hand, so broken for all the atrocities, this pogrom that happened. Whoever imagined, right? We don't have to go into that. We all know what we're talking about. So broken from all of the funerals, endless funerals. B'ezrat Hashem, it should be an end to it already. And on the other hand, we're so filled with hope because we so believe that we are so close to the Geula. And now we have to catch ourselves that when we speak to people, how are you? Not to feel guilty about the tikva, not to feel guilty about how so much besimchadik we have to be, that we are Jewish and how the essence of a Jew is coming up in such clear ways all over the globe, with the endless amount of money of tzedakah that's given all over for Achenu Beit Yisrael, wherever they are, for the wounded, for the captives, for the families, for the soldiers, Shiyu B'rim, Hashem yachzirem otam lesimcha, leshalom, bebriut haguf v'hanefesh, labait. Everyone should come home safely in sound body of mind and spirit, and we should all celebrate together. And we should not, all of the stuff that we don't get why it's happening cannot dampen the simcha of seeing what the Jew is about now. And the question is, my daughter asked me, so how come it always has to be at the expense of all of this bad stuff that then light is going to come in? Lashem Piltunam, I don't know. Choshech precedes the light. But as Maminim Bnei Maminim, we don't lose sight for a second that there is 100% hashgacha practice in the world. And the hashgacha practice of Hashem in the world is to be tov v'hametiv. He is good for all the time. And the things that break our heart, we know nothing about them. We don't have the tools to evaluate them. We can evaluate them from a human experience and be broken from them. Their parents burying the dead in such god-awful situations, and what Zaka has to do to identify the bodies. Lo aleinu, lo aleinu. And we don't understand, and as ma'aminim, bnei ma'aminim, we have to somehow learn to compartmentalize that aspect of what's going on as that's Hashem's business, and we know nothing about it, and that's not going to infringe, dampen, take away from who we are as Jews in terms of the emunah we have to hold on to, chas v'shalom, not to fall into despair. So with that, I'm going to start now, like Noach. How does all of this fit in to Parshas Noach? Noach ish tzaddik, right? We're told that Noach is ish tzaddik. Okay, I have I don't know if I should give it to you with the inside me reading. I think it'll help me give it over if I screen share and just read with you and translate that way, as opposed it'll keep my thoughts a little bit more organized. Okay, so let me screen share. What? Is Avital there? I don't know. Avital, are you there? Say hi. Avital. No, I don't see Avital here. Okay, good. So now, I mean, I sent you the link. Okay. So B'ezrat Hashem.
Can everybody mute, or can you mute everybody?
I can, okay, now I have to stop sharing to mute everybody. Okay, mute participants, mute all. Did I mute myself also? Okay. Now I muted you all, but if you have anything to say to me, unmute yourself and talk to me. It's very important for me to hear what's going on in your head as you hear me teaching. This is a partnership here, okay? I'm not doing this on my own here. I'm learning with you as much as you're learning with me. Very important for me to hear, because sometimes you bring clarification through your comments, through your questions. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem. So here it is. He's going to, Rav Ashlag Zatzal is going to no, what do I want? Oh, here, this is what I have to press. Okay, good. So he's going to explain the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha, between Noach was a tzaddik, right? But what is the difference between Noach tzidkus and Avram tzidkus? And we are not Bnei Noach, we are known as Bnei Avraham. So we have everything to learn from the distinction of the tzidkus of Noach as opposed to the tzidkus of Avram. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will get so much fortified emuna and bitachon in understanding that we have to be like Avram Avinu. So this is how Rav Ashlag explains it. Et Elohim hitalech Noach. Noach walked with God. Et Elohim hitalech Noach. Elohim here is mentioned before Noach, which means that there's a God that Noach is following. Noach hayat tzarich. So Rashi says on this, Noach hayat tzarich saad letomcho. Aval Avraham haya mitchazek v'mehalech b'tzidko me'elav. Noach was a type of tzaddik that he needed to be supported in his being a tzaddik. The tzidkus didn't come from within him. He needed guidance to be led to find his nekuda of righteousness, as opposed to Avraham, who was always mechazek et atzmo. He always found strength within himself, and he always walked with righteousness on his own. He find it, he with his hitbonenut, deep contemplation, he understood what the calling of the hour was and what to do without the chizuk of an outside source. And here in this case, I'm talking about the outside source being God himself in a revealed way. Okay. So how do I do this? Hold on. Is this going to go up? Yes, it's working. Okay. המקור לדברי רש"י הוא במדרש רבה, עיין שם. אכן מדרש זה נצרך ביאור ואי אפשר להולמו כפשוטו. So to understand Rashi, what he's making, the distinction he's making, Noach needed support, Avram was mitchazek with himself, it didn't need support. He says, like, it's not such a simple thing to answer, to understand. You have to like dig deep into this midrash to understand what it's talking about. What's the instruction here? Reshit yesh lehavin. First of all, what kind of support is Chazal mentioning when they say the Noach needed support? What kind of support did Noach get from Hashem that Avram Avinu didn't seem need to get? That's a question we have to answer on this midrash. Zot ve'od hayesh tzadik ba'aretz. ולא גדול כאברהם אבינו עליו השלום שאיננו זקוק לעזר וסעד מבורא עולם. In any case, does there exist a tzaddik in the world that doesn't need support from Hashem, no matter how great Avram is? Without Hashem's support, that, like, how do we understand that? We cannot How can we fathom a situation where a tzaddik is functioning without the support of Hashem? Again, I'm going to stop and say, if I'm going to fast, I want you to stop me and say, repeat that, okay, or whatever it is. Please, this is interactive. We're learning together. So now I'm learning from, I'm sharing from a book, Igrot HaSulam. I don't know if you can see me. I can't see myself on the screen anymore. Igrot HaSulam ala Torah. So somebody brought bits and pieces from different writings of the Sulam and brought it in. So that was an introduction of how the Baal Sulam is going to now unpack this question. Okay. So he's telling us to look in Hakdamat Sefer HaZohar on the Sulam for the answer. And in Shevach, we learned the whole year, last year, was it last year? 2 years ago. Wow, time flies. Hakdamat Sefer HaZohar. So it's coming from there. And he explains there, there is love that is dependent on something, conditional love. There is such a thing as conditional love. Now, what is, he's saying here, what is conditional love? Love that comes to a person from so much shefa of a Kadosh Baruch Hu that he gives them, and because he recognizes the sheva, the abundant love that Hashem gives him, he has no choice but to love God. So where's the condition here? My love is conditioned on the tovot, on the hashpa'ot, on the abundant good that I feel in my life that I'm getting from Hashem. So it's tluya b'davar. And if I wouldn't feel all of that abundant blessing in my life, the presumption here is that maybe I wouldn't love Hashem so much. Okay. And because of all these abundant blessings, the person cleaves to Hashem belev of a nefesh, with all his heart and with all his soul. By the way, I have to say, this is a madriga, because a person can receive blessings and be a kfui tova, be ingrateful. So being grateful for the blessings that you get, even if that's the only reason why you're grateful for Hashem, it's a madriga, because we're chas v'shalom, we're not allowed to be ungrateful. But there's a higher madriga. And none, despite the fact that he cleaves with God, in its utmost perfected state, within that context of conditional love, nonetheless, even though his gratitude is complete and he's brought to love of Hashem, it's not a havash shlema, it's not complete love, because it's contingent upon the tovot that we get from Hashem. And this is what Chazal mean on the pasuk of our Parsha, Et HaElohim hitalech Noach. With God, Noach walked. God preceding Noah. Noach tzidkus, Noach's appreciation for God was because he saw the blessings of Hashem. God's shefa, hashpa, preceded Noach's avoda and triggered his avoda, brought the avoda into being. And this is what Rashi, when he brings the midrash, he means, this is what it means that Noach needed support. Noach needed assistance, assistance to support him. And because he received the help, the support that he got, the sad that he got, was the tova, the abundant good that Hashem was a mashpia on him. And that's what brought him to be a tzaddik and close to God. Omnam Avraham, on the other hand, Avraham, he didn't need support. This is when I read this, I'm like, this is so for our times now. I'll connect the dots for you, have what went on my head after we finish this. But Avram didn't need support, didn't need assistance to hold him up in his emunah in Hashem, in his love of Hashem. As it says in Bereshis Yud Zayin Aleph, Hitalech lefanai v'heya tamim. Hashem is telling Avram, walk before me and be pure and innocent and shalem. Hashem says, you, Abraham, you have what it takes. And we are Bnei Avraham, so whatever we're saying about Abraham, this is the avoda for us. You don't need sad tmicha. You can walk before me and be perfect in your emunah. Ki hitalech lefanai, because walking before me, pirusho bli sad ele lefanai. Hitalech lefanai, walk before me means without support, I don't have to lead you the way, but be before me. You precede my shefa that I'm going to be giving you. Your emunah, your tzidkas precedes my shefa, my reward that you're going to get from me. And even if you don't know that I will come after you to support you, to give you assistance, you walk before me based on what? Your emunah. That Avram Avinu's rechimu, his ahava, was shalem, ahava rabah, as it says, hitalech lefanai ve'yetamim, because Avram's thing was to walk before Hashem and not wait for any favors from Hashem, any guarantees of what's going to be. Avram Avinu just did what he understood that he needed to do in terms of being a good person, a righteous person, leading the world back to goodness, to be a blessing for all of the nations. That means he was not in any need of side of assistance to support him. He was shalem in his love. Look, that despite the fact that he doesn't give you anything, that Hashem doesn't give you anything, mikol makom, nonetheless, your love should be so complete to cleave to me with all your heart and all your soul. So when I read this, I'm going, perfect. Do we know what's going to be? We know what's going to be because we're maminim bnei maminim. We know it's going to be a good end. But meanwhile, there's so many funerals. But Avram Avinu, his love for Hashem is not contingent about anything. There's going to be funerals, and we hold on to emunah, and we're going to forge on with love and emunah and bitachon. We're not going to make our love of Hashem, our love of being Jewish, our neshama from bursting forth from out of us, from all the love that we see from all over the globe, for one for each other, for the Ahavat Yisrael that's coming out now. How pleasant we are to Hashem. How holy we are in our desire to be good and do good. And what's coming out is even the mitzvahs amongst non-shomrei mitzvahs, how much they're chalashing, how much they're so yearning. Give me a tzitzis, teach me a bracha, teach me Shabbos. It's coming out because that's the neshorish of the neshama. And where is it coming from? We are Bnei Avraham, Bnei Yitzchak, Bnei Yaakov, we're Bnei Israel. And we don't need assurances on the ground, like we don't need to see the geula, that the geula is happening. Hitalech lefanai. It's telling us, hitalech lefanai. You bring the geula by your doing, by how you're going to conduct yourself with the emunah. And when somebody asks you how you are, don't first show the broken face of how could we be happy at this time. The first response should be maleh tikva. I am full of hope. Mitzapim liyeshua. We look forward to the Yeshua because it is surely going to come. How is it going to come? More mitzvah, more tzedakah. So let's continue now with Rav Ashlag. Okay, I'm just playing with my Zoom gallery here. Okay, I don't know. Hold on. Okay. Pirush nosaf al divrei Chazal. So now here's another pirush from divrei Chazal. This he's bringing from Rabash, which means from an article written by the son of Rabbi Yehuda Leib, Ashlag Zechzot Likud Golosh Levacha, his son Rav Baruch Shalom, who was picked up the mantle after his father, in a book called, is this from Igros? No. Okay, we're just going to read this. Et pasuk. So Rav Baruch is explaining his father, flushing up what his father mentioned. Should I make this bigger for you guys? Here. Et pasuk, the pasuk et Elohim italech Noach, that God walked before Noah. Rashi explains, as we said, and Avraham, he says, hitalech lefanav, asher hitalachti lefanav, Avraham that walked before Hashem. Noach היה צריך סעד לתומכו, אבל אברהם היה מתחזק מלך בצדקו מאליו. Noach needed support, but Avraham was מתחזק from within himself for the tzidkas that he needed to have to do what he needed to do in the world. והנה ידוע כי יש באדם שני מיני כוחות. And as we know, in every human being, there are two powers. הנקראים כלים דקבלה וכלים דהשפעה. We are mekabel and mashpia. We need to receive things. We need to receive the light of Hashem in order to have strength to then be poel in the world, also as a mashpia. But to begin with, it's a kli kabbalah. We need to be receivers. Now, there's a danger to be receivers, because if we're receiving just to receive, that's called egotism, and that brings discussion. That's sitra achra, that's klippa, that's tuma, that's yetzer hara. We have to make sure that everything that we receive, which we have a kli for, will eventually be turned into a kli hashpah, that whatever we receive, we're then going to be a mashpia with that item. But in any case, let's just follow how he's setting it up. There's two kalim in every person, receiving set and a mashpia set. Every person is built with that. Kelim de hashpah mityachasim laboreh. Whenever we are functioning, Dina, I'm sorry, can you just close the bathroom door? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Kelim de hashpah. Whenever we are being mashpiim, where it's coming from within us is the soul, which is chelek eloka mimal. All hashpa'ah comes from Hashem. When we are being mashpiim, we are being godly. From what power within us? From our neshama. That's what it means. Kelim de hashpa'ah that we have within ourselves, mityachasim laborei barach. Asher hu mashpia. The kelim de kabbalah, and the receiving set that we have of being takers, being receivers, mityachasim lanivra. This is really something to do with the created. Asher hu mekabel. So that's the stuff of our goof. That's the stuff of the ego. It's only bad when we keep it in an egotistical, selfish, self-serving place. All this Kabbalah. We have to eat. We're receiving. That's not bad. But if I'm a glutton, and if I'm taking the last cookie jar and the cookie in the cookie jar that was meant for my brother, and I'm going to eat it up now, that's bad. That's evil. But if I'm eating to get energy, to serve Hashem, to say brachas, to say Mahodu Hashem Kitov, then I'm being a mashpia because I'm giving back something to the world of a good nature. Now, because we're human beings, I don't know if I want to do this with you. Hold on. I want to do so much with you. I'll do the fast without reading. As human beings living in this world, the human condition, we always start with being a mekabel. We can't function from a place of hashpah before developing our receiving set. By the way,
isn't that, Yael,
that's why you have to unmute yourself. What?
Being passive, like a baby is a makabel. A baby.
That's right. But Yehudis, I'm gonna interrupt because let me just say it because I have something and you'll hold. Unless it's a clarification point of a question that you don't understand, leave the comments for the end, okay? Just
okay.
like Okay, because I see you want to support what I'm saying, but that's not the time for it now. Okay, so right, as Yehuda said, I was getting the drift of what she was saying. That's why when we come into this world, we're not mechuyev in mitzvahs until we're 12 years old and 13 years old. Because until we're 12 and 13, bar by mitzvah age, we don't have a clear set of the kelim to be mashpiim. It's the time to developing ego and building character and understanding parameters from a place of a makabel. Know who you are first, right? Okay, so we're always, a human being always starts from a place of what it is to be a human, which is primarily to be a makabel. That stands before the klei hashpa, before we can really be mashpim. Okay, that's too kabbalistic. We don't need to do that now. Okay, so now in relation to Noach and Avraham, so now, if klei hashpa has to do with Hashem, so to go back to the pasuk Noach, Elohim precedes Noach, which means the shefa, the hashpa of Hashem came to Noach before preceding Noach's development of his own kli kabbalah to turn it into a mashpia. He needed the sad, he needed the support. Hashem needed to shine upon him blessings in order to understand that he needs to come to close to Hashem. That's a matana. That's a sad. That's a tmicha. That's divine assistance. That's, in other words, that's itaruta del eila preceding itaruta del tata. It's a shefa that just comes to us. And that's why he was able to walk in Kedusha. But now, with Rashi with Avram Avinu preceded God from his kalim of Kabbalah, from his kalim of understanding what I need to do in this world, what I need to take from this world, and then from that place of itaruta delatata, turn it into a kliyusha mashpia. That's an Avram Avinu. Shem omdim lifnei kelim dehashpa. Sharei kelim dehashpa omdim lemala. Okay, too Kabbalistic again. Hold on. Lifnab. So if you're following this, are you following this? We're able to follow that? Now I'm giving you permission to unmute and ask me a question if you didn't follow that. But I'll say it again and I'll summarize the point. In relation to Noach, haynu bekelim shemechasim otam leelokim. Hashem gives shefa. This is people who love Hashem conditionally. I'll bless you, Hashem, or I'll give tzedakah, Hashem, if you give me the parnasa. Then I'll have what to bless you, Hashem, with. I need the tmicha. I need you to give me something in order to enhance my emunah of you. Okay? So Elohim precedes Noach, kelim hashpa, kelim shel haboreh, v'kelim elu haboreh noten. But this is something like, if it's not something that's coming from us, it's not from itaruda del tata. Avram Avinu, we don't wait for the final end result of a Yeshua to come to say that we believe in the Yeshua that's going to come. We're going to believe, we're going to function as if it's already there, even when it's not here. You got that? Should I say that again? We don't wait. Oh, there's something in the chat. We don't wait for the Yeshua. We don't wait. Oh, that was a heart. Okay, thank you for the heart. We don't wait. Again, I'm going to say, because that was a good sentence. It was good. It was a good thought. We don't wait for the Yeshua to come to believe that Yeshua is coming. We live with the consciousness of it's here. And what is it that we can do to manifest it? Because it's as clear as day. That's Avram Avinu. That's the Jewish people. That's the avoda of the day. All of us, we're living it. Instead of forward thinking. Meredith, okay, Meirav, can you like unmute yourself and explain what instead of forward thinking means?
Like I'm just saying,
more.
okay, I apologize, I'm getting off the bus. But in the sense that like right now there's something difficult going on. And if I'm thinking forward, well, I'm gonna think about the goodness that's gonna come in the future, then I'm missing out on the presence of Hashem that's presenting itself right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So for that, Rashlag has something to say about that. He explains the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha. A tzaddik. Okay, let me screen share and find it for you here, and we'll do it together. Okay, hold on. This we just did, right? So Noach. Kelim de Kabbalah, yeah. Tzaddik v'rasha. Okay, let's do this one. Noach tzaddik. Okay, I'm going to just like try to skim with my eyes fast and give it to you, even though as I'm looking. Okay. He says a tzaddik and a rasha. It's not just forward thinking. It's that the tzaddik lives in the present moment with so much belief that it's palatable to him, that it's already here. Okay, there's a tzaddik, and so Noach is tzaddik. Ki ben adam ein holoch bater. A person does not. The whole thing about that, we have to bless Hashem for things that we get from him. Okay, I see that okay, I have to, hold on, let me settle my mind. What do I want to give over? I want to be able to give it over, and it's already 11:30. Okay, I see I have no choice, I have to read it. ואם זה מובן הגדר של בית השמות צדיק ורשע, כי בן אדם אינו הולך בטל בעולם הזה, ובהכרח בכל רגע יש לו איזה הרגשה בסיבת מציאותו בעולם, או לברכה או לקללה. A person just doesn't exist in the world. He's always walking around with a feeling of God's presence in the world. But the feeling could be for a bracha or a klala. Like we can walk around, I'm so connected to Hashem, or like feeling forsaken, like where is Hashem? There's a klala or a bracha. But we're never like neutral, he says here. And he says, so he explains you something very deep. The feeling of blessing that we walk around the world with is not like just words of blessing that we come out, because we can just play lip service to blessings also. We can just mouth words. The blessing that we bless Hashem with is the feeling of being blessed. I feel the metzias of Hashem and I understand His goodness. I'm going to add even in atrocities, because we're maminim b'nei maminim, and we believe hashgacha of Hashem, and we believe Hashem is a tov v'amitiv all the time, and we don't know the cheshbonot of Hashem, and we don't say this in a shiva home. Of course, we mourn and we hold space and we hug and we love and we just let people cry. But we're maminim b'nei maminim that this is not going to break us. So there's a feeling of that there's a blessing nonetheless. And he brings a mashal, just like a rich person gives money to a poor person, and the rich person knows that the poor person is blessing him. He doesn't have to hear what he's saying here. He doesn't have to hear words of blessing to know that the poor person is so grateful and is so filled with light because of this bit that he got from him. Doesn't need to hear it. It's like saying Hashem doesn't need to. It's not like we need to walk. We have to say words of blessing because it's bechazekas. But the feeling that gives nachas ruach to Hashem is the feeling of walking around with the feeling of being filled with the sense of blessing. And then he says opposite. If a person curses a friend, the person also feels, you don't have to say the words, I just see it in your eyes. You're walking around with the klala against me. You don't have to say anything. It's It's something that's there. And on this mamish, okay, if a person enjoys walking in Hashem's world with a sense of Hashem's presence in the world, this in itself is a bracha to Hashem, is the bracha that we give, because there's an injunction, you have to bless Hashem. Uvarachtet Hashem al kol hatov. But what he's saying here is, it has to be a deep, deep feeling of blessing in the core of our being, and that's the avoda. To move away, why don't I walk around with that feeling of blessing that's filling me up? There's a klippa there, there's a grudge there, there's a lack of belief there. That's the avoda. And it says a person to walk around with so much blessing that hardly I have to walk around and bring it out of my mouth. And the opposite, if a person feels some sort of pain while he is existing in Hashem's world, the opposite is happening. He's being filled with bitterness, with a taina against Hashem. It's very extreme here. It's like, he's saying here. I'm not afraid of this extreme positions, because I like to be pushed to the edge of being consistent with the emunah that I meant to have. And when I find that I'm falling into like a certain, sadness or something, I have to say, treif. It has to bother me to the core. And I can't say, okay, it's normal. What are you going to do? You live in this world. Sad things happen. Say, no, where's your emunah? Become a fanatic. And for me, what he's saying here, some people don't like Rav Ashlag for this strong language. I'm going to say it anyway. I'm like, at that moment, there's rishus there. I'm bringing out the rasha in me, not a tzaddik in me, when I do that. And I have to move away from being a rasha to being a tzaddik. Now, we don't like to hear these words according to ourselves, because we're kind, and I would never use it to anybody else. But for me, for myself, and each person to understand that that's the avoda, we have to walk around with compassion. We have to give ourselves a break, and we have to understand all the situations that lead us to sadness and things like that, and yush. And for sure, we're not going to judge anybody else for it. But understand that there's an avoda there. That what we desire is not to be in that place of complacency, of malasot. And even if a person will never say anything bad about Hashem, just walking around with this feeling, this upon this person is the name Rasha, because Mazera, someone who's separated from Hashem. If you wouldn't be separated from Hashem, you would not think those thoughts. You would have the clear vision of all the tzaddikim, of an Avram Avinu. Because when a person comes into any form of sadness or despair, necessarily he's marshia. Now, what's the word marshia? He's making God into an evil God, that you don't know what you're doing. You're causing havoc and devastation. Why aren't you preventing this? We are finding fault with God. What's the alternative? The alternative is to say, to daven Hashem, I don't understand what's going on. So many people are hurting. So many people are filled with anxiety. So many people are seriously afraid for the members of their family and themselves and the world. And what's going to be? Hashem, show us not to be afraid. Show us that you're running the show. Turn it into a tefillah, that there should not be any more broken hearts. Not to call into question that there are broken hearts. You follow what I'm saying here, like with the diuk here? Because the feeling of sadness and despair is in itself an expression of a complaint and a taina against Hashem. Like, you don't know what you're doing, God.
Make requests rather than complaints.
Okay, right. Dina here, Dina Hortons is here, and she's saying she teaches her kids to say what?
To turn a complaint into a request.
Turn the complaint into a request. V'hagam shemotzi mipiv ez bracha. And when a person brings out a bracha from his mouth, if he's walking around with feelings of sadness, despair, etc., and that's his like general internal environment that he's walking around with, and even though he might utter a bracha from his mouth, he says this is like false flattery, and we have to stay away from false flattery. It's a pasuk in Tehillim that says dover shkarim lo yikon. A person of falsehood is not established in Hashem's eyes. Chanifa, sheker, false flattery. So what? So again, an instruction. So what? We're not going to say a bracha when we're feeling about this. Of course, say a bracha when you're feeling like this. But understand that that's not the ideal, and that's like to daven for Hashem. Please allow me to say the bracha from a full heart, not a divided heart. And from all of this, we'll understand what it means, the parameters of a tzaddik. Mirav, I'm kissing you so much now, like you were so right on by like preparing this passage with your question. So he's saying, you were so like meduyak, bullseye. And from here we'll understand the parameters of what it means to be a tzaddik. The meaning of a tzaddik is someone who is really living in the world of God, understanding that Hashem is the God of the world. I'm in my consciousness, I am so 100% clear that I'm walking in the presence of Hashem, and as a shaliach of Hashem, therefore in the world of Hashem, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to give chizuk to people. I'm going to bring emunah and bitachon and simcha, and lots of hugs and lots of love and lots of ayin tova. And that's the only thing that matters to me, to bring a shaliach, to be a shaliach of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because it's His world. And that's why at tzaddik, they're always happy. You can see worry on their face, but you know what their worry is? It's not for themselves. It's not because they have a yerida and emunah. It's because they're in pain, that other people are walking in pain, not walking around with the same consciousness that they are. They don't see what he sees, all the goodness and all the Torah that he knows. And this is heartbreaking because human beings are human beings. And we do come into this world with a clay Kabbalah that can make us fall into the Kabbalah of just needing the comfort. And just show me that their geula is, so I can believe it. Show me that they're, why doesn't Hashem perform so many miracles? We can't say that. Since 1967, we cannot say that Hashem does not perform miracles. But it's a common thing that people say. If only Hashem would show us miracles today as he did back then when we read them in the Chumash, I wouldn't have trouble with the Mayamuna. But that's a Noach. That's not an Avraham. We don't need miracles to tell us that God's presence is in the world. The Teva alone that God created is the miracle. And if you have that consciousness, a person will always walk with good feelings, benimut, and pleasantness. And when hardship happens, I'll know what to do to be mechazek others. And that person is always walking around with oneg, with delight, bitmidut, in a consistent manner. So such a, no, hold on, I skipped somewhere. Yeah, and so and that's why the tzaddikim, they always, you find them with the blessing of Hashem on their mouth. That Hashem created the world to bring tov and simcha to the world. V'gam hu, and even though he doesn't have to utter the words because it's so just walking around, he's like makrin. מה זה מקרין? Walking around, exuding, to exude, to go out from yourself, to exude.
Radiating,
What?
radiating.
Radiating. Thank you so much. Radiating and exuding this reality of Hashem, and the reality of Hashem means that he's a tov v'ametiv. Because the feelings that he's walking around with is in itself the bracha, that he blesses Hashem, that we're told that we have to bless Hashem for everything. And that's why it's called tzaddik. Shematzdik lehabriya. A tzaddik is because he's matzdik at Hashem ala briya. He's finding tzidkus in Hashem in everything that's happening in this world. What a chiddush, right? What a Rav Ashlag, vintage Rav Ashlag. What's its definition of a tzaddik? Someone who is matzdik et borei olam, et kono. He finds tzedek. Umargisha kamot shu bemet, and feels as it is, as it says in pasuk in Bereshis, vayar Elokim et kol asher asa v'hineh tov meod. And what does Rashi say about tov meod? What does Rashi? What's tov meod? The yetzer hara, death, all the things that you wouldn't be saying that it's tov meod. In that exact place, that's the tov meod from Hashem, because it's dafka in those areas and those places that we have to go to reveal that there is no place that is void of Hashem. And it's our consciousness that we bring to these situations that brings about the bracha in a revealed way, that which is concealed. Okay, so that's that. 10 more minutes. Let's see if I can do one more text with you. Tzaddik v'rasha. Here. Okay, this is very good. I have something very good to share with you here, but it might introduce too much of another concept to flesh out the point that we made. Okay, 10 minutes. Let me see. Okay. What? Do it. Go for it. Dina says go for it. Okay. So here it says here, like this is in the book called Igrot HaSulam, the letters of Baal HaSulam. Okay, now. No, this is important. So we know what the function, so very nice theoretically to learn about it. How is it going to manifest in me all of this beautiful teaching that I learned? Walk around being the blessing that you want to see in the world. Believe in it, and that's the blessing of Hashem, and you become a tzaddik. Why? What's the difficulty in that? Why are we like not getting in touch with it? So here's how he explains it. And Bezrat Hashem, when we'll hear what he says, we'll be able to unpack the challenge of it within ourselves to be able to come to it.
What about the Koheles?
No,
yeah, there's a
Yehudas, not now.
Not now.
Yes, Yehudas, Herman, I love you, but not now. She doesn't. How come I asked to mute? Okay, sorry, Yehudas, but I need to do this after. וזה שאמרתי, אשר כל מושג של כאב ייסורים שישנו במציאות הוא אך ורק בהרחקת התשלומים משעת העבודה. He says like this. Oh man. There's rewards, certain things we don't need to wait for to feel the blessing of. Let me stop sharing for a second. Like, for instance, there's employees that work for somebody in a store. They're going to get the pay either at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, whatever the arrangement was. As they're doing the work, they feel the toil of the work. They know that they're going to get paid. That's why they're bothering to work at that work. But are they filled with simcha as if it's the day, as if they have the check in their hand and payday? You can't compare someone who knows of a reward that's coming to somebody who's actually holding the reward in his hand. Follow what I'm saying? There's a reward, like Meirav said, forward thinking, not enough. Because you're still delaying the blessing of that oneg, of the delight, to a later time because you're in no. What's preventing you from feeling? What's preventing you from feeling the blessing as it would be payday? Because right now you're toiling, and there's a time span between a delay between your work and the paycheck, between your toil, the avoda, and the reward. And in that span of time, there's a possibility of feeling a disconnect from the internal simcha of knowing b'vadaut 100% that I'm going to get the paycheck. Okay, I'm just going to unmute everybody again. Okay, participants, mute all. Okay, fine. Now, as opposed to, that's an employee working, let's say, in a store. As opposed to the boss. If you're the owner of a store, you're working just as hard. You're doing whatever you need to do to maintain the business. But every customer that comes into the store that you're serving, that the boss serves, he doesn't feel the yagia, he doesn't feel the fatigue, the hardship of the work. Because he knows that every customer that comes in to pay, ding-a-ling-a-ling, it's my money. You get the difference? There's no delay reaction for somebody who's in touch with the bracha on the moment because he sees the reward in the moment as he is working for it. So now let's go back to the text. Hold on my thing here. Let me make it bigger for you a little bit. How come I'm not being able to make it bigger? Hold on. Okay. Now let me move all of your beautiful faces to this side so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, here. And this is like with what I said before about suffering. All pain and all suffering that exists, including not understanding why things are going on and we're in pain, okay? All pain and all suffering that exists in the Metzias, is because of the distance from the reward from the time of work, that we're working at something. גם אם תעיין יותר תמצא אשר כריחוק הזמן של בינתיים כן יתרבה הכאב. And the greater the distance between what it is that I'm required to do today to the reward that I'm going to be receiving for it, the longer the distance between them, the greater the pain and suffering. Okay, hold on. וזה שאמרתי אשר כל מושג של כאב, וזה שאמרתי אשר כל מושג של כאב ויסורים שישנו במציאות הוא אך ורק בהרחקת, I just read that, hold on. ואם זה מובן הגדר, so now with that, we understand the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha. כי בן אדם אינו הולך בטל בעולם, because a person just doesn't, what we read before, a person just doesn't exist in this world. He walks around all the time with the feeling, I'm in the presence of Hashem and feeling the love and blessing of Hashem in my life, tzaddik, or I'm feeling a disconnect, not understanding what's going on, and having tainas, complaints, and therefore I'm walking around like I'm being cursed. And if I'm walking around being cursed, guess who I'm cursing? I'm saying, Hashem, you're at fault. That's a rasha. So all of this I said before. Now, something new here. No, so we said that. So a tzaddik is somebody who's living in the presence of Hashem. Here's something new. Let's just bring into focus before I continue. What new thing did we just add? That the pain and the suffering of not understanding what's going on And not liking what's going on, for sure we're not supposed to like it. But like, instead of praying about it, understanding Hashem is a tova b'ntiv, nonetheless, and we understand nothing, yotzer or uvoreh choshech. But as the 13th principle, I think it's the 13th principles of the Rambam, Hashem asa oseh v'yaseh kol ha'masim. He's in charge of everything. Okay. That all of that is because we're disconnected from the presence of Hashem, which is the ultimate blessing. And that's where the suffering. So he says here, but tzaddik b'emuno ito yichyeh, in Habakkuk we read that a tzaddik lives by his faith. But that's not how to translate it. Tzaddik b'emuno ito yichyeh means the life that he has, the chiyus that he has, the life force that he feels within him, the life force of blessing, is because of his emunah, is rooted in the emunah. And this is to teach us the power of the tzaddik. Because in the face of it, really, this is something not very understood by a simple person. How is it possible that there can exist a person in this world that is free of all pain and suffering? It doesn't exist such a person. And more than that he should walk around with consistent pleasure. This is opposite of what we see. Neged achush. So what is this tzaddik b'emunato yichyeh? And with this I'm going to finish. But with everything that's said, we will understand. שכל עניין המושג של יגיעה וכאב שישנו במציאות הוא מצוי רק בבחינת ההרחקה של התשלומים מן העבודה. אשר על כן אף על פי שיש בערכם של התשלומים לקוות את האיסורים ולעקור אותם מעיקרם. מכל מקום אינם פועלים עליו בשעת העבודה, ויש לו זמן להרגיש אותם. וכמשל אצל בעל החנות, אשר כאב טרחתו נעקר לגמרי והביט על מקומם, ואינם כלל בשעת הפדיון ושימוש הקונים, לסיבת שהשכר והגיע באים כאחד, ואין שם זמן של בינתיים מתגלה הכאב של הטרחה, והבן היטב. What he's saying here is that all pain and suffering is because of this distance from the reward. And the rewards, as we see, just like the owner of a store, brings him to not paying attention, not being mindful of the toil and the hardship of going to work and whatever that entails, the surim of work. Because if you're in touch with the ding-a-ling-a-ling, I'm getting money here now, that makes you forget about, of course, I want nowhere else to be other than here. So he's feeling so a person follows, like is experiencing Yisurim, but they mean nothing to him because he's also in touch with the reward. ובזה תבין בפשיטות דברי הזוהר אשר באתר דאי תלכות התמן סיטרא אחרא בגין דהוא בגרייב ואחרול עבדין דלי הוא בגרייב והוא כמי שזכה לאמונה שלמה. So a person who was zocha to a complete and utter I don't know my English, what's with my tongue now. וכל מי שזוכה לאמונה שלמה, everyone who achieves perfect faith, הרי שמשמש אצלו בהווה ממש. Such a person means Emuna means it's as good as done. It's as good as done. If Hashem said that the Geula is going to come, the Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt, Mashiach is going to come, there will be Achdus amongst all Jewish people, all evil will be vanquished. I believe with that, I walk around with that Emuna. And I see the world with godly eyes of that promise. And I don't let what's going on, ala shetach, to bring me to despair. I will not forget that despite all of the hardships that are going on, it's not going to shake my emunah. You know where we saw this, friends? Rabbi Leo, almost to the day that he lost his wife and 2 daughters. He's standing there, bringing so much light to this world of emunah, this person, Ribono Shel Olam, what are we made of? And so many like him. It's possible And if it's possible for Rabbi Leo, it's possible for us. Rachok mikulam. To live with the emunah that there is Hashem and goodness and love, and we are supposed to be mashamish Him. We're supposed to be the vehicles of all that shefa and goodness in the world. That's what's called living the emunah. And we don't fall into the yisurim of the moment. We feel them, but we turn them into tefillah, but never falling, never forgetting for a second that there's a hatov v'hamiti borei olam that's conducting it all. Im adam ne'eman maftiach b'davar. Just like if a person that it's like a millionaire. If I promise you $10,000, you can suspect, is she really going to give? Let me see what she has in her account. But if a millionaire, a multi-billionaire promises you all the money, like anything you want, $500,000 today, you know he has it to give you. You're not going to call it into question. He loves you, saying, I love you. I feel what you need. I'm empathizing with you. I'm writing up the check. It's going to be in the bank by tonight. For you, it's as good as done. Because a multi-billionaire that loves me promised me. Hashem is more than that. And He promised the Geula, and it's going to come. And if I have in my hergesh, in my feeling, a lack of really, is it going to happen? That if I internally feel it would be so much better if I would just get it in my hand now. That's a chisron emunah that shows me that I'm not in perfect faith because I'm needing to hold it in my hand and I'm not believing with utter emunah that this is a process that's unfolding. It's as good as done because Hashem is hayah hoveh v'yeh, and for Him it's already the future that He gave us. All of the Yeshuot. And I think with that, I'm going to finish screen sharing. Thank you so much. And now I'm inviting to unmute yourself and let me hear some feedback from you. How has it been going for you? Is this resonating for you? Are you going to take greater chiyas and emunah and strength? Bezrat Hashem. Dina wants to say.
Yesterday I was, can people hear?
I don't know, but I'll just give you the, hold on. Here's Dina.
Hey, everyone.
Speak up, let's try to project your voice.
Okay, yesterday I was just in the presence of someone who, was sharing with me. She was never able to have children, adopted children, very painful. Has a daughter who's not well. Her husband passed away this year. He's trying to spread light into the world.
Speak
and now her son is in the front lines in the army. He has a wife and a baby, and she's just like her whole life has been one challenge to the next. And they have this curriculum that her husband made that they just want to bring peace in the world and to bring light. And she's just sharing with me her pain. Everyone wants to donate and give to all these things, but I have here something that gives and we haven't. And I was just sitting there and feeling her pain, and I see this. It's a great visual of the wanting to receive the word and then the having it in your hands and that distance, that gap in between and getting it. But sometimes there's just so many things, you're thrown again.
Yeah.
It's just how, I didn't have any words. I just held her and how do we, sometimes there's more, it's not just there's.
Of course. All of this we need to take to an internal order to help ourselves manage and understand. But there are times, like Kohelet says, 3rd chapter of Kohelet, there's a time and season for everything. There's a time for spod. There's an et lifkot. There is a time just to cry. And there's a time just to give hugs. And that becomes the avoda of the moment. There is space for a broken heart, but not despair. Not to call into question, is this emunah, is this ever going to end? Is the geula ever going to come? Or chas v'shalom, stay away from those videos that are damaging to the soul. You don't need to see the visuals. People think they see the visual is going to cause me to want to daven even with greater strength. It doesn't. It diminishes the strength of the soul. We have to do everything to empower ourselves, to empower the neshama, to be bnei Avraham, to be the tzaddik that Abraham was, because he's our father and we are his legacy, and we can be that which he was. To walk before Hashem, I don't need to hold it in my hand to know that it's as clear as day, that it's good. And to be an ish chesed, and to do all the tzidkas that's coming that Am Yisrael is doing now. But that there's time for breaking down and crying, of course. Anyone else?
Well, the Gemara, I heard one of the Rabbanim say, the Gemara that says one of the Rabbanim said at the end of days, when the Mashiach
Let it come
goes,
and I shouldn't be there.
And I don't want to see it. I don't want to
Right.
see it. So he was interpreting that we're going through that now. Don't look, don't see some of these images that they're trying to pollute us with.
Right.
But I'm glad you brought down the Koheles, because that's what I wanted to mention. There is a time to be sad, but not to be broken from it. Yes, Hashem wants us to feel all those feelings. It doesn't mean that we just become happy robots.
But we have to use it to get us to prayer, to pray for the world. We have to, it can't be lost on us. To pray and to love and to feel empathy and compassion and to feel the unity that we're all one soul. Bezrat Hashem.
I get so strengthened by seeing some of these videos that are going around of the army. How just
absolutely, Am Yisrael is where it's something so special, and we should hold on to it.
But that's it's strengthening our emunah.
Watch those videos and stay away from the other ones.
Right, exactly. You have to know what to watch.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thing of hashpah, when you get into that state, like you were saying from the beginning, of being like the tzaddik, so then you can really be hashpah. Then you can, then you get empowered.
Yes.
You get empowered with emunah. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So our tefillah is, okay, so let's wrap it up now. Yehi Ratzon. That we'll all be able to connect to the tzaddik within us. And that the nekuda of tzaddik within us should not be just a nekuda. It should permeate and fill our own being, that we should be walking around with the bracha of what it means to be a tzaddik in this world. And feel the blessing of dveikus with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and understand that we are shlichim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And chas v'shalom, we should stay away from despair, because that is not the portion of a tzaddik. And we should be able to give chizuk and hugs and love and chizuk to everybody. And through that, we should show the whole world the Kiddush Hashem. What's happening amongst us is a Kiddush Hashem. That Kiddush Hashem should come from the pneumius of ourselves, of our pneumius of our Jews, throughout all of the people that make up Am Yisrael, no matter where they're holding in their religiousness or whatever. But that neshama should come out and from us spread to the whole world. The whole world is waiting for the bracha of Abraham to reach them, to be a blessing. Bezrat Hashem, Naseh v'Nasiach. Thank you so very much.